All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Marco Balance. My name is Mark, and Star Wars decided to have a trailer frenzy in this past week. We got new trailers for Tales of the Empire and Star Wars Outlaws, the open world video game coming out later this year. And they were both great trailers, so I wanted to talk about them and figured I could just package them up in this episode right here. So we'll dive right in. It won't be too long of an episode, but definitely want to start with Tales of the Empire. I know we had been told that we were getting some sort of Tales season this year, but we hadn't heard anything, and we got a random trailer drop last Thursday, and it was really shocking. Not just the dropping of the trailer, but also the characters that we're going to be following in Morgan Elsbeth and Barris Offee. These are probably the last two characters that were on my mind for the next season of Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Sith, whatever they decide to go with. And I think because of that, they're the best choices. It would be very easy for Lucasfilm Animation to pick characters that would draw the most eyes, picking Luke Skywalker, Ben Solo, Asajj Ventress, all these characters that would draw not only diehard Star Wars fans, but also maybe more casual Star Wars fans. Morgan Elsbeth and Barris Offee aren't going to move the needle for any casual fans, so you know this wasn't a decision made by a boardroom. This was a creative decision by the storytellers at Lucasfilm Animation. They said these are two characters that have really interesting stories that we can dive into and explore even more. With Morgan Elsbeth, I personally didn't need more from her. I felt that she was a bit of a flat character in the Ahsoka series. I didn't think she was bad, but I didn't think she had too much depth to her. And so I think initially seeing this trailer, I was like, really? They're going to go with Morgan Elsbeth? But the trailer convinced me that her story could be a really interesting one, not only tying up how the Night Sisters did survive that initial genocide that Grievous and the droid army brought, but also how she got connected to Grand Admiral Thrawn. And seeing Thrawn in animation, in Clone Wars animation, was really cool, and I hope we get a lot out of him, and it's not just a short little scene that we only see from this trailer. What stuck out most to me in Morgan Elsbeth's part of the trailer was the absolutely beautiful animation that we got. Bad Batch has been looking amazing, but this looks like an upgrade even compared to Bad Batch. The lighting of the droids with the fire in the background, Morgan Elsbeth pounding the ground, you see the soil animation is so much more dynamic than what we've seen in Clone Wars and Bad Batch. I was just really blown away, and I hope that this is the standard that the next Star Wars animated show will be. And I mean, come on, that new Grievous model that we saw kind of teased in Clone Wars Season 7, but now we're seeing in full force is going to be such a treat. So really impressed with Morgan Elsbeth and very surprised that I'm so excited to see more of her now. And then I think we get to the part of the trailer that everyone's going to be talking about, and that's Barris Offee and her joining the Inquisitors. Even though in the grand scheme of things, Barris Offee was such a small part of the Clone Wars quantity-wise and the amount of time she shows up, her impact on Ahsoka's life, on the Clone Wars and the Jedi Council cannot be understated. And I love that they're going to continue her story here and see that her story is going to keep going down a darker and darker path. I think it's really great that we're going to see her in her holding cell, hopefully on Coruscant, so that when she steps back out of her cell, she sees how much Coruscant has changed. Maybe she sees the Jedi Temple destroyed and just a general new feeling on Coruscant that she didn't see when she was first entering the prison. I'm also really excited to see the Inquisitorius and getting more details on the training process, the recruitment process, and obviously to the point where you get anointed as a brother or sister. It's a process that if you haven't been reading the Star Wars books, you wouldn't be privy to, but as casual Star Wars fans hopefully check this out, they get a peek into that world, and I think it's a really interesting one. It's a dog-eat-dog world we see here. To get anointed, you have to kill someone else in this ray-shielded arena. If you're more interested in this before this releases, go read Rise of the Red Blade. It's a really interesting novel about a Jedi Padawan becoming a Inquisitor. Highly recommend that. But as a book reader, I'm excited to see that type of story be brought to the visual medium. Similar to me being really excited to see Thrawn again, I am also pumped to see the Grand Inquisitor again in a master role. I think he looks great in the Clone Wars style of animation, and I think him training Barris or introducing her into this world is going to be so great. I love that we're now seeing blood in animation. We see he pushes her against the stone wall and she falls and blood drips down and it's on her nose. We haven't seen blood really at all in animation, so I think, again, they're trying to push the medium forward in Star Wars animation, and I think this is just like a subtle hint to that we're going to see more blood, we're going to see better lighting effects, we're going to see better soil effects moving forward. And then, of course, the trailer ends with Darth Vader showing up. I'm sure it'll be very small, very minute part of the 3 shorts that we get from Barris, but goddamn, it never gets old. It never gets old. So this was a really surprising trailer for multiple reasons, but I'm excited about every single one of them now. And the trailer had the Imperial siren for when a ship is going down. And whenever a trailer in Star Wars uses that, I mean, I'm all in. So really love this, and I cannot wait for May 4th when all 6 of these drop. And the second trailer that came out today as of this recording was Star Wars Outlaws. This is the new open-world, third-person action-adventure game that follows Kay Vess, I believe her name is, in the time between episodes 5 and 6, and she's a part of the underworld. She is just trying to make her way in the galaxy, and she's very much mixed up with the underworld of things. The Jabba the Hutts, the Boba Fett's, the Pikes, the Crimson Dawn. All of this while the Empire is at the height of their power and are distracted by the rebels who are also gaining momentum in the galaxy. So we already saw gameplay for this game a couple months back, and now we got a little bit deeper of a look at the story mode here. And I think the story, for me, still feels pretty generic. I mean, this trailer is about as generic as you can get when it comes to a heist storyline. You know, the main bad guy has had their run-in with the main hero. They're hunting them, but the hero is also trying to steal from the main bad guy. Even have the the typical, I'm putting together a team, I'm in. All the typical heist tropes are here. But even so, I think what this trailer does best is it shows the variety of interactions you're going to be able to have in this game. I already mentioned all the different syndicates. We even have a new syndicate of the main guy who we're trying to buy our freedom from and steal from in this game. And we see in this trailer, you fight literally all of them, or as we know, you could align yourself closer with some more than others. So I'm really excited for the enemy variety. It looks like we'll be fighting not only the different syndicates, hopefully they all fight very differently so the combat can stay super fresh and exciting, but we're also going to maybe be fighting some flora and fauna. We see a crate dragon at some point in this trailer, which is really crazy. That was from episode 1 of season 2 of Mando. You know, the huge sandworm, the Dune-esque worm that we see the Tusken Raiders and Mando take down. I think that's really cool. And of course, you'll still be having the opportunity to fight the Empire. We don't know if we'll have interactions with the Rebellion. I hope this story doesn't end with her joining the Rebellion. I think what they should do here is kind of carve out her own path and show that you can survive in the galaxy. You don't have to choose sides in this conflict if you don't want to. It's been confirmed that there will be about 5 worlds that you can fully explore. I know one's Canto Bight, one will be Tatooine, obviously with Jabba's palace, which it looks like you can go anywhere in Jabba's palace. You could see Han Solo in the Carbonite, you can go to his palace, you can go to the Sarlacc pit. Like, I really hope that they build out these open worlds. We know that the main gripe and the main hesitation with Ubisoft games is that they've become very stale, they've become very cookie cutter. I've talked about it before. So Star Wars Outlaws really has to try and move away from that formula, and I think having the different enemy varieties, I think having the different flora and fauna and different feeling worlds are all really important to stay away from that, because in Assassin's Creed games, when you're in Egypt or when you're in Italy, like, the city kind of can get samey. With Star Wars, you have the opportunity to go to whole different worlds and biomes. So that's something that could really help them out. I think the enemy variety can make combat really exciting. Hopefully all the enemies, like I said, fight differently, so you have to think differently. We see that there's some melee combat here with not only Nyx and Kay working together, but Kay kind of taking people down in different ways. I hope that melee combat isn't just simply sneak up behind and fight or run up and punch. I hope there's melee weapons you can use, like an electro staff, a vibro blade, really giving the player a lot of options to tackle situations, not just with her blaster that we kind of see here. I've mentioned that we have seen some notable characters in this trailer. We saw Jabba the Hutt. We see Akira from Crimson Dawn and from the Solo movie, who is played by Emilia Clarke. That'll be really interesting to see where her character is at this point. This is the underworld, so I'm assuming we'll run into maybe Boba Fett, Bosk, all of the usual suspects in the bounty hunter realm. Maybe not. I know a lot of people are saying we don't want too many member berries or too many connections, but I think, it makes sense in this time period. Even Cad Bane, he's still alive and working at this point. So I think if those interactions are smartly integrated into the story or into secret side quests or something where you can team up with them to do a bounty, I think that's really exciting. There's so many great possibilities here, and I think that's the point. That's what they needed to do with these trailers, which is exciting. But there's always going to be that hesitation in the back of my mind and a lot of other people's minds that, can Ubisoft deliver on all of these huge promises? Can you really seamlessly travel from the ground to space, to hyperspace, to a brand new world without really any game-breaking or game-pausing loading screens? Can it really be seamless? And hopefully they are smart about how they do the loading screens and maybe just make the hyperspace between worlds the loading screen. Can they deliver on a combat system that never gets old or samey throughout the entire experience? Is the wanted system going to be as dynamic as they say it is? Are you going to not only be wanted by the Empire, but can you be wanted by the Pike Syndicate, the Hutts? Can you really align with one of them more? And what benefits does that give you? This is an open world game, so these questions shouldn't be too far out there. This game should be able to deliver, at least to a degree, on some of these promises, because that's what sets great open world games apart from good or mid ones. This is especially true for a game where you don't have full control over character customization. We are playing as Kay Vess, and you can't really change that. You can change her appearance maybe a little here and there, but they have to give you agency in other realms if you can't change your own character or give your own character a name. So those are my big thoughts on the combat, the gameplay, all of that. Just I hope they give at least a fraction. No, not a fraction. No, I want more from that. At least 75% of maybe what I'm imagining they could do here. I think the last thing I'll touch on is Kay Vess, the main character. I think some of the lines in this trailer are a bit cringy, that Marvel humor that they tried to inject into a lot of modern media. And like I said, some of the stuff here is very generic when it comes to a heist storyline. So I don't think this trailer did Kay Vess any favors, but I am excited to see where they take her. I'm excited to see more from her instead of this cut up audio or these cheesy one-liners. I'm hoping they really ground her. I really like the portions of the trailer when she has to go hardball on some people. She pistol whips some guy, slams his head into the table. She's a little rough around the edges, and she meets with the Pikes, and they throw her out, and she's all pissed. So I hope they give her that rough personality that someone living on the run would be like, and don't try and make her, that typical wisecracking Marvel archetype. But yeah, those are all my thoughts on these two trailers. I have no idea why Disney felt the need to cram all of these trailers in the past couple weeks with Acolyte, Outlaws, and Tales of the Empire when we really were dry for the first couple months of the year. But here we are. I'm happy we're here. I'm happy we know more about the things that are supposed to come out this year. Tales of the Empire will come out on May 4th, Star Wars Day, and Star Wars Outlaws will come out on August 30th, which I was very surprised to see that date come up. I am a little skeptical that they will hit that launch date. I think it's a little too soon, especially since they did release Avatar Frontiers of Pandora in December of last year. Ubisoft Massive, the same people making this Star Wars game. So I'm expecting a bit of a delay on this game to maybe November, October, but if not, really excited if it comes out in August with no bugs. Knock on wood. I don't have wood, but if you can hear it. But regardless, I'm excited. I want Star Wars to have a great 2024 after kind of an average year in 2023. I think Bad Batch has been great so far for its final season. I think Tales of the Empire looks awesome, and I hope it doesn't kind of fall into the trap of Tales of the Jedi that some of the shorts, because they're shorts, you don't get to dig in as much as you really wanted to with some of the characters. I hope we don't get that here with Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Empire, Outlaws, I think is looking pretty great. Acolyte has been my most anticipated series, so I'm really excited when that comes out in June, just 1 month after Tales of the Empire. Geez, so we're going to go from Bad Batch all the way up to May 3rd, and then we're going to have Tales of the Empire all drop on May 4th, and then we're going to get Acolyte a month later on June 5th. Whew, it's just a steady stream of Star Wars, and I assume Acolyte will go 8 weeks, and that'll bring us almost to the launch day of Star Wars Outlaws. And then maybe if Disney planned it out, maybe Star Wars Outlaws takes us a couple weeks, and then boom, Skeleton Crew comes out. But I think everyone knows Skeleton Crew is not a real show. Everyone knows that because there is no information out there, and it's supposed to come out this year. That's not a real show until it's a real show. Regardless, I'm ranting a bit here, but I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave a rating or a review on whatever streaming platform you're listening on. Tell your friends, tell your family, anyone that likes Star Wars to come on down and listen to any of my content. And yeah, follow me on Instagram at @star_wars_mark of balance. Would love to hear your thoughts on all of these trailers. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you. Peace.